Welcome to The Soul's Journey with your host, Tracey Escobar. The Soul's Journey tells the story of everyday people who overcome life's toughest lessons and want to use their voice to share and give hope to others walking a similar path. These are stories of hope, stories of healing, stories of empowerment. So now, please welcome the host of The Soul's Journey, Tracey Escobar.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to The Soul's Journey. I am your host, Tracey Escobar, psychic medium out of the Dallas, Texas area, and you are watching The Soul's Journey on Bold Brave TV network. How's everybody today? I want you to join me for a cup of coffee as we talk today about our segment, The Tools. We're going to get into it in a moment, but I want to talk to you first about a journey I took yesterday. And so on the show, I want to take you all along the healing journey that I'm on and I'm experiencing. And I'm going to read the books for you. And I'm going to come on here and I'm going to share whatever I learned. And I don't know if you remember, but a couple of weeks ago, we had a guest on. Her name was Danielle Hayes, and she was a healer. If you didn't get to watch that episode, I would definitely go back and watch that episode so you know who that I'm talking about. But her name is Danielle, and she's from Ireland, and it's just the weirdest story. I don't know how we all connected. I met someone randomly, and she introduced me to Danielle. Danielle happened to be coming to Dallas this week, and I don't know, just the powers that be all lined up, and I decided to do a healing session with Danielle, and that happened yesterday, and she does something called somatic healing. And when I tell you, the universe just comes in at the right time with the right people that you need. And if you're having some of those moments in life, just don't ever second guess it. Don't ever overanalyze it. I would totally go with the flow. I believe people are brought into our life for a reason at the right time, like divine intervention. On my journey, just recently, I've been doing a lot of mindset work. I've, this is my 7th year as a psychic medium. And I teach all of my students, as you go into mediumship, you also go into self-development journey. Right? You got to be a better human if you're going to be out there helping the world and helping people heal, because you don't want to bring all your past and your trauma and your blocks and your experiences through in a reading. So you want to go clear all that and heal. And so I've been on this journey for over 7 years, and I've done a lot of mindset work, emotional work, a lot of the forgiveness, a lot of affirmations, journaling, meditating. And it was just recently that I learned about the body. And you'll always hear it: mind, body, spirit, mind, body, soul. Like when you're on a healing journey, those are the 3 things that you should be concentrating on. But I don't think I ever understood the body part until now, right? I always assumed that the body part meant make sure you're feeding yourself healthy food, make sure you're exercising, and all that's super important, yes. But let me tell you, when you start to try to heal the body, that is on another level. And I'm a little swollen and puffy today, and I'll tell you why, because of the session yesterday. But our body holds trauma, holds emotions, holds negative energy in our cells. It doesn't go anywhere. So if you think about it, and this is how it was put to me, energy is a living, breathing thing. Energy doesn't die, okay? And if you think about it, emotions tend to be energy. It's energy. When we're happy, we have no problem expressing our happiness to the world, right? We're excited, we're happy, we tend to express and get out the happy. But what happens when we're sad? What happens when we're angry? And we were raised and taught to be seen, not heard. Don't show your emotions. I'll give you something to cry about if you're going to cry. We were always taught to kind of suppress those emotions. For some reason, I need a pen in my hand when I talk about this stuff. So I don't know. That's a deflection thing, I think. But as I talk about emotions, but we were taught that to suppress those emotions and to keep them inside. Well, if you think about it, if emotions are energy and we are keeping them inward, they have nowhere to go but our cells and our tissue and it kind of inhabits our whole DNA. It takes over. So think about that for a second. We have emotional trauma that we work through, and we have mindset work that we work through. But did you know there's actually trauma in our tissue? And like our guest Lulu said, the issue's in the tissue, and I can attest to that. So I am a person who is in chronic pain all the time. I have an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's. I have a thyroid issue. I also have a hormone imbalance that I'm dealing with. My joints hurt. I'm fatigued. I have chronic fatigue syndrome. So I'm dealing with a ton of issues. And I was on every medication, seeing tons of doctors. Most of you will know I've had some neck issues. I've had pinched nerves in my neck. So many underlying conditions that I've been dealing with. And I've been dealing with it through Western medicine. Well, now I'm learning that there may be some alternatives. And everything that I'm experiencing may be a result of my trauma or my stored emotion, especially my stored negative emotion. So yesterday, I went to go see Danielle, and she does this thing called somatic healing. And the theory behind it, I suppose, is to get into the fascia of our body and to release some of that trauma. And when I say it was the most painful, physically painful, an intense experience for 2 hours that I've ever had in my entire life. I would not be joking. Besides childbirth, because that was pretty painful as well. So healing is painful. It was a very painful experience. And today I've got bruises kind of all over my body from it. You can see all the pressure points. So what they do is they take these pressure points throughout your body, and you wouldn't think that random parts of your body would be sore or hurt. But I'm telling you, when she pushes on certain parts, I almost came off the floor. It was so painful. And she told me it's not supposed to be painful. So that was all my trauma stored. Next week, I'll share with you the video that we took of what happened during the releasing part. So the concept is to press on these points where the pain is so much in your body, and to press. So if you can think about a massage you had, and the most painful massage you've ever had because they kept working one spot, that's kind of what it feels like. Think about an elbow going into this part of my arm. And she did it everywhere: my chest, my stomach, my legs, my calves, my feet. So like, think about it from the head down, all these pressure points, or these points on our body that hold our pain. And you press them until you can't stand it anymore. And what happens is your body will start to release it. Your body will start to tremor and shake, and you will start to release it. It's the most crazy phenomenon I've ever seen. And I wouldn't have believed it if we wouldn't have caught up mine on video. And so we did. And I'm going to show that next week and talk about that, just on the importance of healing. And as this show talks about the soul's journey, none of us are immune. Again, I always tell us we're not going to get out of this life unscathed from trauma or hurt or pain. It is what it is, and it's going to happen. So how we deal with it, how we move on, and how we move forward is what I want to talk about. And that's why I'm reading so many books, and that's why I'm concentrating so much on just self-development, right? How to become a better human being. And today we are going to continue our talk on the tools. So this is the book that I'm currently reading and reviewing. I first heard about it through a Netflix show called Stutz. So I remembered the show this time. We are on tool number 3. So if you are just now tuning in, I encourage you to go watch the other episodes where I talk about tool number 1 and tool number 2. I'll just kind of go over it really quickly. Tool number 1 is called the reversal of desire. And every tool has a higher force that it's associated with. So you have the reversal of the desire, and forward motion is the force that it helps. The next tool was called active love, and the out force is outflow, and the higher force, is outflow. And then today's tool, we're going to talk about inner authority, and the force is called self-expression. And I'm really excited about this tool because I think we all suffer from it. Every one of us at one point or another. I don't think any of us are immune to what this tool can help heal. So I want you to think for a second. Have you ever wanted to make a good impression on somebody, right? And so, or a group of people, or let's say you had whatever it is, and I'm going to give you a story about me. And when you go to meet this person, you probably are in your mind going over and over what you're going to say, how you're going to react, how you're going to present yourself, etc. And then you get in front of them and completely lose all your words. You start to shake, right? You lose track of your thoughts. All of a sudden, you become like a DDD, like you just don't even know what you're doing anymore, right? That's called freezing. And that is a normal state of being when we're trying to impress someone whose opinion matters to us. Okay, so I can tell you, I have many, many examples, but along my mediumship journey, this one issue came to be where this tool would have come in really handy, and I just didn't have this tool in my toolbox at the time. But I can remember freezing, right? I was starting to do public demonstrations. And what that is you do a demonstration of mediumship to the public. So you can be in a room with 20 plus more people. And in this instance, I had about 85 in the room. And so this was my first big demonstration in front of the public. And I was pumped because I had some good classes. I was on a roll with my readings. I felt really, really confident. And the night came, and as the night progressed, the nerves started to come, right? And I can remember walking into the room and then turning around and facing my audience of 85 people, just staring at me, anxiously waiting for me to do my thing. And I literally froze. I couldn't even drum up words. I started to sweat. I started to shake. And I completely lost my mind. I froze. I don't know if it was from fear or what, but after reading this book, I kind of have an understanding now of what happened. And that's why I think this tool would be so important. Think about a time that it happened to you. Can you go through and just think about all of the physical effects that you had? The sweating on the forehead, the nervousness, the getting sick to your stomach, the not being able to find the words. That's happened a lot for me lately in meetings. I can't find the word just escapes me. So that's a part of your brain just kind of shutting down and freezing. Dry mouth, brain lock. The list goes on, and I have like a list sitting here of all the things. You spill things because you're nervous. That's your brain going into lockdown. That's your brain freezing up on you. So what is the number one cause for that? Insecurity. That is it. It comes from a state of insecurity. And I'm going to tell you exactly why that is, but insecurity can be detrimental. It can it'll put you in a place of fear, number one. And we've talked about fear on the show before and how that will keep you from every possibility of moving forward and having a great life and experiencing different things because you're stuck in fear. So insecurities can keep you stuck in fear and keep you not being able to want to talk and not being able to just share. And it'll kind of limit your ability to connect with other people. That's one of the detriments about having an insecurity. But I know we can all think about those times in our life where we've been really insecure and what that does to us and what that does to our brain. And we can think back to those times where we were in front of people who we wanted to impress so badly, and then we shut down out of fear. So this show, I'm going to talk about what the book talks about. I'm going to give you a tool that's going to help you push past that feeling of insecurity and what you can do to work on those insecurities, and then how it can benefit you in life moving forward. Phil and Michael do a great job, or Phil and Barry, sorry, do a great job of just outlining tools in this book and real life scenarios and real life cases of things that have happened that can show you how putting a tool like this into place can better your life in the long run. So I can't wait to dive in. When we get back, I'm going to show you how you can fix those insecurities. We're going to talk about the tool that he talks about in the book and gives into place. We're going to talk about shadow. I'm going to explain everything to do with your shadow self. We'll talk all about healing and more. So you're going to want to stay tuned. You are watching The Soul's Journey on Bold Brave TV, and we're going to be right back after this.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Hi, and you're back with The Soul's Journey on Bold Brave TV. I am your host, Tracey Escobar. So we're talking about inner authority, which is the tool that Phil Stutz writes about in his book, The Tools. And he talks about insecurity and how that's kind of the root of what happens when we freeze, when we're trying to impress people. This happens if you think about it, this happens in job interviews. It happened to me recently. I just took a new job and I had to go meet the whole team and I wanted to impress them, right? I have this great personality. People tend to like me when I meet people, but for some reason with this group, I wanted them to like me so much that when I got there, I totally froze, super awkward. I thought I was funny when I wasn't, totally lost words. I had really smart things I wanted to say and ended up not saying them, ended up kind of being in my own zone and zoning out just a little bit and just disassociating. So even just this week, I caught myself needing this tool. So, and it's all probably because of insecurities. And where does that insecurity come from? I'm going to share that with you today. Inside every one of us is a second piece of us, a second self. And we call that our shadow self. And if you are in the woo-woo world or brand new to the woo-woo world, you may have heard about this term called the shadow self. People talk about it all the time. Have you done your shadow work? But I find that it's such a broad term, shadow work, that a lot of people really don't know what that means. Okay. And so we're really going to talk about it today and dive deep into it. But the shadow self is the embodiment of all of our negative traits, or the traits that we think are negative to us, right? The self-talk that we tell ourselves, oh, that I'm fat, that I'm dumb. This one's a big one for me, that I am, what is it called? See, I'm even losing my thoughts now. What is it called? Anyway, we have performance fear, we have anxiety, we have imposter syndrome. That's what I wanted to say. That's where it finally came to me. You know, some of us struggle from imposter syndrome, and that's an internal dialogue that we have from ourselves coming on this show. Who am I to tell you guys how to heal? Who am I, right? And I talk about myself all the time, like, who am I? Who's going to listen to you? Why would they listen to you? Who are you to be talking about this? Who cares what you have to say? So that's all my own shadow self and my own shadow talk that I'm giving to myself. So all of my negative traits, I'm fat, I'm a horrible person, all the horrible things that people have ever told me in my life that I believed, and that I sit there and I go over and over and over and over in myself. It's everything that we don't want to be, but are afraid that we are, if that makes any sense. So it doesn't mean that it's based on reality. It just means it's the view of who we believe we are. So think about that for a second. I want you to sit and really sit with yourself and think about all your shadow parts, the shadow pieces, the true parts of yourself that you want to keep from everybody else and you don't want people to know, right? Think about this. If you get into a new relationship, brand new, and on the first date, what are all the things you wouldn't tell somebody? Like, those are parts of your shadow, the things that you don't want to reveal to other people because it may, one, may make you look bad. Number two, it may make you feel bad, right? Number three, it's something you're not willing to accept or for yourself. So you just shove it. So these are the things we talk about when we talk about the shadow. All right. Through our life, we exert a lot of energy just trying to keep those things hidden. We are so terrified of people finding out who we really are and our shadow self. And the funny part is, it's not really who we are, it's who we think that we are. So that's the piece that we talk about when we talk about the shadow. Carl Jung talked a lot about archetypes in his work, and shadow is an archetype. But there's a difference. So when we talk about archetypes, it's a patterned way of looking at things or a patterned way of perceiving things. So an archetype, like a mother archetype, it's a way we view what a mother should be, right? So we compare our mother to what archetype of a mother. Most archetype of a mother is like June Cleaver. That's the typical archetype of what a mother should be. Now, is that reality? No, but that's just what we think a mother should be. So anytime a mother doesn't fall into those expectations, there's judgment, right? Father, same thing. We have an archetype of what we think, a pattern of beliefs and behaviors of what we think a father should be like. Same with God, like same with the universe. Those are all things that we think we know and have an expectation of what it should be like. The devil is another archetype. We have a perceived view of what the devil is and what the devil looks like, how the devil behaves, all those things. Now, the shadow is another archetype. The only difference is on the other archetypes, we determine how we view the world outside of us, right? How we see a mother, how a mother should act, how a father should act, how God should act, how the devil should act, how we view the world. Shadow, on the other hand, is how we view ourselves. It's the inner part of us. So that's the one piece that we can work on so that we can have a better view of ourselves, if that makes any sense to everybody. Okay, so we're going to do a little exercise. I got to break out the book because I want to do it verbatim on how he does it, but I want you all to participate. And if you're watching the replay, please just participate. Find a quiet space that you can get into. Okay, and I'm going to read it verbatim from here. And we're talking about the shadow self. Okay, so I want you to get to know your shadow. I want you to find a corner, and I would take a paper and a pen and just start keeping a journal. I think that's always going to be helpful, just to start keeping a journal of your development and your healing and your self-discovery so that you can go back and reference it later. I can't tell you how many times I have referenced journals from 7 years ago. I keep them all on my shelf right in front of me, and I will go and reference exercises I've done or breakthroughs that I've had and go and revisit, and it helps me to determine where I've come and how far I've come. Okay, so find a quiet space. I want you to give yourself permission to let go. Close your eyes. You are safe. You are comfortable. And here we go. I want you to go back to the feeling you had when you were in front of a group of people who made you feel insecure or self-conscious. Now, it could be a group of people. It could be a person, a boss, a celebrity. It could be one person that you wanted them and their opinion to matter so very much that you were so insecure and so self-conscious. I need you to go back and grab one of those memories and bring it to the surface, okay? I'll give you a second to kind of go and think through that. Who's that one person or that group? And I'll use mine. Mine was that group of people that I was doing a demonstration in front of, okay? So that's what I'm going to think about when I do this exercise. I'm going to think about standing in front of that group of people, and I am shaking and I am sweating, and my voice when I'm talking is vibrating. Now I'm going and sitting through all the feelings and all the emotions that I had at the time, and the fear and the oh my God, and that I can't speak, and the frozenness that I felt, okay? And then I'm going to take myself out of my body for a second, and I'm going to face myself, right? So I'm going to walk out of my body who's there and is frozen and stuck. And I'm going to turn around and I'm going to face myself, okay? And I'm going to imagine what that scared version of me looks like. What does that scared version of me look like? And I'm doing this right now with you all. I have not done this exercise yet, so I'm going to do it right here with you all. And I have a perfect vision. Like, it just came to me so perfectly of what my shadow self looks like. And I see her plain as day. So for me, my shadow self is my little girl self. So I'm going to write that down. I'm a little girl. Okay. I have pigtails in my hair. I'm extremely shy. Okay. I don't smile. I don't like to smile. I don't like my smile. So I'm going to write that down too. So can you see where I'm going with this? I can see the shadow Tracey as I envision this. And that's what I'm hoping that you get from this exercise as well. I want you to get a picture of who your shadow is. And I want you to describe that on a piece of paper, right? What is she wearing, he or she? What does she look like? Is she tall? Is she big? Is she small? Get real descriptive of her, because there's going to probably be a reason why she looks or he looks the way that they look. So this is going to be a really great exercise for you all to do, just to get to know and see and give an image to your shadow self. All right. So as you spend some time doing that, I want you to know that as you walk through this, that the shadow self is a source of the most basic human conflict. Okay, let me say that again. Our shadow self, and I'm going to pretend this is my shadow self. Let's just give it, I'll use this hand. All right, here's my shadow self. I'm going to write. So, oh, you can't even see that. So let me get a better marker. I'm going to write my shadow self on here. So here's my shadow self. Okay, here's me. Here's my shadow. All right. What happens with our shadow self? We get into conflict with each other, right? I can't find value because my shadow self is over talking me. I have no value in myself because my shadow tells me I'm not worthy, I'm ugly, I'm shy, people don't see me, people don't hear me, people don't want to hear me, people don't want to see me. So me and my shadow are constantly in conflict. And this is a basic human conflict, okay? Basic human stuff here. Basic human conflict, okay? Me and my shadow. And so what happens when we are in conflict with our shadow is we search for validation and worth externally out into the public. Through work, through relationships, through things, through shopping, through food, you name it, something external to validate our internal self because of shadow. Okay? I hope that makes sense, right? It's pretty basic psychology, but when it's put to you in these terms, it just makes the light kind of go off, especially for me. I get it now, right? We are fighting with each other. So anytime we're in conflict, we want to go to outside sources to get our validation. And for me personally, one of my big validations in life, because I was in conflict with my shadow self for a very, 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 very long time, was work. I was the best employee. I was always wanting to be promoted. I did such a great job at work. I found and was validated the most through work and my work experiences. And that's where I found 100% of my validation. So I would pour myself into work, where when I would get home, I wasn't being validated externally from the people I was with. So I would tend to disassociate, just to go inward, go back to my shadow self at home and not be that confident person at home that I could be at work, right? So I was getting everything I needed from an external source and was pouring all of my energy into work. And that's what it feels like when you're looking for outside validation. There is before I go to the next break, I want to leave you with this affirmation. And I'm going to read it verbatim, right? So I don't mess it up. But here's a question. It's not really an affirmation. It's really a question I'm going to pose to you all out there. Are you relying on the outer world to change your inner world? Okay. So I want you to really think about that as we go into the next break. Are you relying on the outer world to change your inner world? And if that's a yes, you want to come back for more. All right. You're watching The Soul's Journey on Bold Brave TV. We will be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. Yeah, it feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
And welcome back to The Soul's Journey on Bold Brave TV. I am your host, Tracey Escobar. So we're going to be back talking about the tools again. We are on tool number 3, called Inner Authority with a Higher Force of Self-Expression. And so when we went off to the break, we were talking about shadow self and doing the work and finding your self-worth and finding inner worth instead of seeking for it externally. And the fact of the matter is, the majority of us living who haven't done the work self-worth eludes us all, right? We were all struggling to find some kind of self-worth. And the majority of us are searching for it through external means. Think about this in your own life. Where are you seeking validation? Like I gave you my example, I was seeking all my validation from work. Also, I was hyper vigilant in keeping a clean home, organized, super vigilant. So I was looking for external people to praise me on how well of a mother I was, how well of a cleaner I was, how I kept my home, how well of a employee I was. So all of those things I was searching because I wanted people to like me. I wanted people to love me. I wanted people to find value in me. I wanted people to find worth in me. Looking back, I should have been trying to find it within myself. And so that's what I want to teach you guys today. How do we find our own self-worth? How do we take our insecurities and become secure? And the number one thing that Stutz talks about in his book to cure insecurity and to find your worth is to find your own true self-expression. What does that even mean? Well, self-expression drives us to be who we truly and authentically and genuinely truly are, despite how others react to us, how others treat us, and whatever people think of us. And I know I'm a woman in my 50s, and I know I shouldn't even be admitting that into the public, but there's something about a woman coming into her 50s, and probably no mistake of why I'm on this journey at this point, because I'm tired of seeking validation outside of myself, right? And it just took all these years to figure out that that's just not the way to go, because there's never going to be a void filled that way. You're going to always want to be searching and searching for more. How many of you have ever been in a relationship where the other partner continually cheated? Now, is that because you weren't doing the right things? No, that's because they continually needed to fill a void because they lacked self-worth and they lacked being secure, honestly. So they kept repeating a pattern thinking it would help, but it really doesn't help. And you're continually having to do it to find your value, find your worth. So next time someone's doing a pattern of behavior that may be hurting you, I want you to think to yourself, what are they running from? What are they trying to do, right? What need are they trying to fill that's not being met within them own selves? And they may help you, make you feel a little bit better. But we're going to turn around and we are going to talk about self-expression. I want you to remember, as a kid, you had no fear, right? You could walk up to a stranger and start talking to them. You could try new things and could care less if you look silly doing it. So many things as a kid, because we had true self-expression. We hadn't had the world put us down so much that we could no longer express ourselves. That's what true expression is. You were your truest self as a child. And then we grow up, and then life happens to us, and then we retreat, and then trauma happens, and then stored emotions happen, right? So what we need to do is get back to being a kid. Self-expression. Now, a lot of people have lost self-expression through spoken word. Anybody in the woo-woo world will know that we can't speak through our chakra, the throat chakra. That will close up tight because we can't express through the spoken word anymore. We're too afraid to speak up. We're too afraid to voice an opinion. We're too afraid to speak when our boundaries have been crossed. We're too afraid to hurt people's feelings, right? So we close down. That's called the spoken word, right? And we can lack self-expression through our own spoken word. So learning just to speak our feelings in a kind way, and I think that's important because some of us can speak in an unkind way, and that takes a lot of work to control your emotions to speak in a kinder way. So I just want to put that out there. But you can have self-expression through speaking, right? Setting boundaries, healthy boundaries in a kind fashion. Writing can be a way of self-expression, painting, dancing, You name it. I want you to go on a total self-development journey and spend the next month just trying to get some self-expression and figure out what that is for you. Try all kinds of different things. When I went through my beginning of my healing, I was painting. I did painting classes, I was crocheting, I was sewing, I was trying to find every creative means I could to find my own self-expression. I was writing, I was doing poetry, whatever, trying to dig up those emotions from deep within me to find self-expression. So when you are speaking from your truest inner self, that's self-expression, right? So I want you to sit with that for a minute, and I want you to really give yourself that exercise for tonight, is to kind of go deeply and figure out who you truly are through self-expression. Go and figure it out. I think writing my book was a great form of self-expression. I really got to go in with my trauma and deeply talk about things. And when you can read about yourself from an outside perspective, it really teaches you something about yourself. So that's another way of doing it too. Just write your story out, right? Draw, paint, decorate, find ways to express who you are and not even care what anybody else thinks. Get to a place where you love yourself from the inside out. And if you're one of my clients, you know I talk about this all the time. You have to learn to love yourself from the inside out and not seek out things to love you to fill the void. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that thought on self-expression as we go into the next point, which is the tool. The tool that Dr. Stutz actually goes into in the book on how we can combat our insecurities. So I'm going to read the tool from the book directly, and the tool is called inner authority. Inner authority is the only kind of authority you have over yourself where it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's only you. You have the only authority over your own self, and that's it. So again, I want you to find a quiet space. I want you to get into that moment. I want you to close your eyes, really get there, write this down if you can't do it right now, but this is something of tool that I want you to try tonight. You can use this tool to overcome shyness, express your needs, express vulnerability, when you're trying to connect on a more emotional basis with family or friends, right? You can always do this tool before you have those difficult conversations with people. All right, so find a quiet space. I want you to close your eyes and I'm going to read it to you. Imagine that you're standing in front of an audience of one or many, just depends on you, whatever you feel comfortable or a little uncomfortable with, okay? I want you to see an image of your shadow off to one side. So remember, we did that little exercise on what your shadow would look like, what you imagined your shadow to look like. So remember, I keep doing this because my camera's not showing it right. Okay, so here's my shadow self, and I'm going to imagine me standing on the stage with my shadow self off to the right of me, okay? I'm going to ignore the audience completely and focus all my attention on my shadow. As I stare at my shadow, I'm going to feel an unbreakable bond between the two of us. I'm going to look at my shadow. I'm going to feel all the emotions of my shadow. And I'm going to sit with my shadow for a moment, and I'm going to bond with my shadow. And as a unit, I'm going to bring my shadow in towards me. And I'm going to tell my shadow that we are fearless, that we have no fear, that together, her and I can conquer anything. And I know you're going to feel awkward doing it. And no one has to know you're doing this. No one has to know. It's our secret, okay? But do it. 100% of everything is mind work and getting our mind to believe something, right? So again, you're on a stage, you're with your shadow, you're staring at your shadow, you're getting to know your shadow, and you're bonding with your shadow. You're bringing your shadow in, you're feeling your shadow, you're loving on your shadow, and you're feeling just all the emotions of the fear and the scared of the shadow, and you're telling the shadow that we are fine, that we are fearless, we are going to be okay, okay? Together, you and the shadow forcefully turn towards the audience. Okay? So as we're speaking, we're going to turn to the audience and we're going to say, in an authoritative manner, we are going to command them to listen. Okay? And I want you, when you do this in your head, or if you're in private, you can yell it out. Feel the authority that comes when your shadow speaks with one voice. Okay? So remember, you're getting to know your shadow, you're involved in your shadow, and then we turn and we're going to say, listen. And it's like you do it in unison, and all of a sudden, your shadow has this inner force, this inner power about it. And that's the tool. And that force that we're talking about is the force of self-expression. All right. So that's the tool that he talks about. Now, you may need to do this tool over and over and over. Remember, this is not a one and done kind of a technique. This is something that you may have to repeat to yourself over and over and over before it actually works. And you may even have to bond with your shadow self for a while. And it may take some time before you can even imagine what that shadow even looks like. But it's a mission that you need to go on, right? In your book, your journal that you're doing, your healing journal, right? I'm going to work on my shadow. I'm going to meet my shadow. I'm going to create an image of my shadow. I'm going to bond with my shadow. All of these are pieces of the healing process that we all need to go through. So there's 3 parts to this tool for it to work. And we did it within the tool, but you may not realize what it was, so I'm going to call it out. Number 1, and we just talked about it, you need to create an image and identify the shadow. Project an image of your shadow. I think doing a vision of who your shadow looks like will make it real. And don't be afraid to see your shadow change and evolve over time. I am almost going to guarantee that as I continue to do this tool, my little girl shadow is going to grow up. As I build my confidence, I'm going to grow, right? My little girl shadow is stuck at the age of 7 and 8 because of some trauma that happened at that age that we have yet to deal with and yet to face together. So we're going to do that together, but I can 100% see my shadow growing from that. So don't be alarmed if your vision of your shadow starts to change as you do your healing. It's 100% normal, okay? So that's number 1, creating an image of your shadow. The second part of this is to actually form a bond with your shadow. I need you to get in there and get to know your shadow and form a bond with your shadow. I need you to feel the sadness of your shadow. I need you to feel the fear of your shadow. I need you to feel your shadow, okay? I want you to create this shadow as if it's a second person within you, right? We're going to have to compartmentalize just a little bit. You've got you, and then you've got the shadow self, okay? The third piece of all of this is commanding them to listen. The command part, you've got to command it, right? You've got to come together and command them to listen. And speaking it loudly and authoritatively in your head or in person, whatever you need to do to make it work for you. There has to be a command. So 3 pieces of the tool: project your shadow image, bond with your image, and command an action to the audience or to the person that you're speaking with. Okay? Those are the 3 keys to the tool. So as long as you have those in place, anytime you feel shy, anytime you're walking into anywhere where you think you may freeze, I want you to pull out this tool and do it before you go in, okay? Before the interview, before you meet a new date, or before you go on stage, before you perform, before you do your podcast, before you do whatever. Use this tool to gain the inner confidence that you need. And I'm going to say the inner confidence. It's not anything to do with external. Confidence comes from inside. All right? All right. We're at the end of this segment. We need to take a quick break, and then we'll be back to wrap up. You are watching The Soul's Journey on Bold Brave TV Network. I am your host, Tracey Escobar, and we'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality? But it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating. Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Hi, and you're back with Tracey Escobar and the Soul's Journey on Bold Brave TV. Thanks for watching. We are wrapping up our segment on the tools. The number 3 tool in Dr. Stutz's book called The Tools is inner authority, and the higher force is self-expression. So we went over what inner authority was, and then I just want to end the episode on self-expression, just to make sure that you're out there and you're trying to figure out who you are through self-expression and being authentically who you are. Self-expression allows us to reveal ourselves in the most truthful, genuine way to the public, right? And when we can be truthful and we can be genuinely who we are, we can remove any mask that we have or any mask of who we're trying to be. Just be you. Be real. Who cares what anybody thinks? This is your journey, your path. I tell a lot of people, stay in your lane. It's your lane. You're the only one who meets your maker at the end of it. You're the one, right? It's your life. Live it to its fullest. And stop worrying so much what other people think about you, because it doesn't matter. The people who love you will be drawn to you. And the people that don't, it doesn't matter, because we're not here to please anybody else. So I want you to remember that as you walk into this weekend, right? Find something to self-express. Find something. Go write. Go paint. Do something to find you. Cooking is another form of self-expression. Cook. Figure out from the deepest parts of your soul who you are, right? And then use the tool anytime you need to come out of that shell or you need to find that inner confidence. I promise as you work through this, it will become easier and easier and easier, okay? I'm going to read to you his last thoughts in this chapter. Self-expression comes from the shadow and through the shadow. And unless you work on the shadow, you can never find who you truly are. And you can never truly self-express in an authentic way. It's when you're expressing yourself that you are the most in harmony with the universe. And it makes true human contact possible. So I'm going to leave you with that thought until next week. I want you to work on those things, all the tools. And if you've missed the other 2, go back and listen to those episodes. And happy healing, y'all. Happy healing. And we'll be back next week. I think next week we're going to take a break from the book, and I have a special guest who's going to talk about her near-death experience, how an angel came and told her she was about to lose her husband. So it's going to be a really interesting episode, and we're going to shift gears just for a second and go back to learning about someone else's experience, and then we'll be picking back up on the book after that. So you won't want to miss it. As always, it's your journey, it's your lane. Stay in it, and who cares what anybody else thinks. All right, we'll be back next time on The Soul's Journey. You are watching Bold Brave TV with Tracey Escobar. Talk to you again next time. Take care, everybody.
This has been The Soul's Journey with your host, Tracey Escobar. Tune in each week and be inspired through the voices of those living the journey and those who have already passed on. Fridays, 5 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.